Welcome everyone to the inaugural, the first ever Canadian Music Climate Summit.
We are at an unprecedented moment in human history when Mother Earth is telling us she is in distress. In my experience as an environmental activist, music touches people emotionally in ways that words or action do not. What is it about music? Watch an infant respond to a rhythm or a song, and it is profound, as if the need for music is built into us, and I believe it is. We need an anthem for Mother Earth.
Hello, water.
Hello, water.
Thank you, water.
Thank you, water.
I love you, water.
I love you.
There's 4 distinct knowing moments that have led me to the work I do today, because they're really the best way I've found to lay out both some basic facts about the climate crisis and also share with you how I'm dealing with the feelings that come out of knowing these facts. I really hope that in hearing my knowing moments, you'll just recall your own knowing moments, and it'll help you step into action if that's not something that you've felt able to do up until now.
I thought about the man who called it a magpie, confronted by the great expanse of his ignorance. He wanted to name it, to detain it forever.
It's really important to be inclusive, to try and get everyone on the same page, finding these new conversations, and museums are great places and cultural institutions are great places where we can find broader political support. Moving away also from this idea that it's only individual decisions that are going to be solving the problem. So not having people feel guilty that they left their light on by accident in the basement last night. Thinking more about, these structural changes that we should be, getting off of coal as a source of electricity, so that it doesn't matter if you leave your light on because it wasn't being generated by fossil fuel.
I can change, never change, never change, never change, never change, never change, never change.
This panel considers the advances that have been made, the targets that have been announced, and the strategies that are necessary to realize a zero-carbon live music sector. From campaigns to ban plastic, to tent recycling, green power, to living walls and roofs, festivals, venues, agents, and promoters are starting to join the conversation in Canada alongside some of the great work our panelists are already doing in the space.
Our main offering is the Creative Green tools themselves, which is it's a carbon footprinting platform that was created specifically for arts and culture. And we now offer them for free to folks in the Canadian arts and culture sector.
I think that the notion of place-based art making is tremendously important, that if we are not reflecting and celebrating the land upon which we are and the people who surround us, we've missed the point. It also means a reconsideration of what success looks like. In our field, it might not be a tour to Europe and playing in the major concert halls. It might be doing a perfectly spectacular job of engaging with people of social ideals and justice in the communities that we're based in.
Many of our green initiatives are actually over 30 years old. So I think that's my contribution here today. If we could do these things over 30 years ago, other festivals and presenters can do them now.
Can't have a conversation about sustainability in the business if you're not also talking about how do we do that on the merch side.
The average t-shirt travels 25,000 kilometers before it lands on your back. Synthetic textiles, which are the most common used fabric in our clothing, are made from crude oil. The average cotton t-shirt takes 10 full bathtubs of water to produce. The water pollution in the fashion industry is enormous. You can determine the next trend color based on the color of the rivers in manufacturing regions like in China. There are a few things that obviously need to be considered when you're thinking about t-shirts, hats, bags, whatever it is that you're selling that's made from textiles. Repair, rental, resale, and repurpose.
Last year, we pledged to go carbon negative by our 30th anniversary in 2026. It is a journey, I would say take that first step.
I believe that the answer to what's going on here with climate change lies within Indigenous languages. So we need all to learn Indigenous languages.
Many of you might be aware that Pakistan experienced one of the most epochal flooding this year that displaced 33 million people, out of which 16 million are children. Women and girls are more vulnerable. So that is a very important reason why intersectionality is important as a lens to look at climate justice, because climate crisis does not impact all of us in the same way.
The difference of taking an intersectional approach and not taking one is, for me, is the difference between success and failure.
Don't be a taker anymore. Give, offer, ask, and wait.
I'm not directly experiencing the effects of it every day. So when people ask me, oh, well, what have you written about climate? It's hard for me to answer. I've written a couple things, but for me, I've ended up writing more about almost the causes of climate change, of like capitalism and patriarchy, which are directly related.
So what I did is I took the songs of thrush, the songs of robin, and the songs of endangered western screech owl, and I tempered them on a keyboard and made this little thing.
I think so many things are so difficult about this issue, and yet all of the things that are difficult about it are things that can be opportunities. So I think as an artist, it's the question of what can I do, what should I do? And actually there's so many different answers to that question. And I think that what's beautiful about it is that, we can all enter this with what we have to offer, and then we can all do something to make a change that's aligned with what we have to offer and what we can do.
Some people might watch a movie and be really affected that way, and for others, it's sound and music.
I love that music has this way of kind of meshing with nature in a way that is, in my mind, an extension of nature through this particular species that we are. I've done a little bit of combining some nature sounds into my songs, and whenever I do it grounds me.
As we've talked to record labels, to individual artists, to music organizations, venues, what we have found and what we know is that the music industry has been the hardest hit coming out of COVID. In some ways, it's been hard for people to wrap their head around prioritizing what to do to address the climate emergency when tours are being canceled and so many musicians are struggling to make ends meet. And so we wanted to kind of end on a positive note that there are opportunities.
You can apply to our existing programs to do the things you're doing in an environmentally sustainable way, how you decide to travel and the case you make for how you travel. And the people reading those applications are artists themselves who will understand why you're making those choices, because those are choices that they're considering themselves.
The Canada Council is really interested in supporting this kind of convening and discussion and dialogue, as well as the other things we support around climate change. But I know this was a first for the industry, and so congratulations. And I also think it's pretty fantastic that it's ending with a concert, because I think, as many people have said today, if there's one thing music and the arts can do that absolutely nobody else can, it is touch the hearts and minds of people and bring us together.
I'm searching